Good evening, friends. I hope you're all having a wonderful life. Today, I want to talk about is perception, and the reason for that is I recently had a conversation with somebody, and while on my way back home, I kept on thinking that why is it that we always think that uh, when somebody forms a perception about us, the person who forms the perception is one who's wrong. Because all my life now till today, I have realized that perception is always counted as a negative word, because most of the times it definitely comes out to be opposite to what you really are. So what makes people even form that perception? It is your own behavior, your own personality. So I am not saying that it's wrong to have a certain kind of personality. I have been called arrogant and proud all my life, and when I start talking to people, I have to explain them in words that I am not arrogant. But then again, over years I realized that something is wrong, maybe with the way I present myself, with the way I talk, or something has to be tweaked in my behavior for at least those people who matter to me, whether that's professionally or personally, so that they understand what I really am. So same goes with all of you, or all of us in fact, that for a certain number of people who really matter, professionally or personally, who should know what you really mean and what you really are, for those people you must understand why a certain perception is formed, and try and work on it. I give you an example. When you're trying to teach a 5-year-old kid, you start off by explaining a certain thing in a certain way. If the kid does not understand, you change the way you want to explain. Still does not understand, you'd find another way to explain that. That is exactly how we need to do, while explaining, or while making other person understand what we really mean and what we are. If people do not understand you as a person or as a personality, with the behavior that you do right now with everybody, then in that case you need to figure out a different way, a different behavior for at least those people. So maybe when after some time you'd realize that there are multiple ways that you have to behave with multiple people, so that everybody knows you as a person, and they understand your actions, your words, the way they are said by you, the way you have acted. We have all fallen into that situation where we have to say that, okay, this is not what I meant, my meaning was something else. That's because maybe the other person understood it the way it was communicated to that person. So you cannot blame others for understanding something or having a certain feeling about your behavior. So you need to tweak your own behaviors. That's what the bottom line is. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was, all of us, in our life's journey, have to grow, and that growth has to be multidimensional. Now, when I say multidimensional, that means we all grow in age, but we need to grow in our knowledge, we need to grow in our experience, which comes with age definitely. And the only way we can grow is when we learn new things, and then when we share what we've learned. Because for us to learn, we have to look up to somebody who's above us. And same goes with people who are, I won't say below us, but then haven't reached the level that we are. Again, my logic to life is that anything that you do in your personal life can be replicated in your professional life, and vice versa. Most of the times, the example that I give to my friends and the people that I talk to is that, when we are in a professional environment, we hold our anger, we are very careful of our speech, of our behavior. But when we are in our personal environment or a personal space, we lose control of our anger. And I strongly disagree and do not favor this behavior, because if I am able to behave in a certain way in my professional environment, that means I have that capability to have control over my emotions, over my anger, on my words, even in my personal environment. And similar thing, if I was to do vice versa, if I have handled bad situations and made difficult decisions in my life, I can very well handle difficult situations in my personal professional life too. It's just a matter of intent. So coming back to the growth part, so when we have to grow multidimensional, the only thing that comes to my mind is the game of chess. So if I have to go to a certain position, that position has to be empty. The only way that position can be empty is when that person there moves to a different position. So there has to be a learning, and there has to be a sharing of your knowledge, of your experiences. Again, while we are sharing or while we are enabling others to grow, it is very, very important for us to be patient with them, because not everybody has a similar level of understanding. So that is where the learning curve differs. And then a lot of times you would find yourself in situations where it'll be very easy for you to just take that thing back from the person and do it yourself. I'll again give you an example of the personal life. When moms teach their daughters or their sons to make chapati, I think that would be the most difficult thing that a mom could do. Standing a little away and let your kid struggle with not getting the complete perfect round shape, not able to bake the chapati at in the right amount. But then your mom would let you do it. She'd let you struggle. She'd let you have your own learning curve. Beginning, your chapatis might not be that round, but then with experience, you would reach a point where you make perfect chapatis. Very basic example. But I strongly feel, like I always say, that from these small things in life, you'd learn a lot of big things too. Same thing has to be applied in your professional life. So when you are helping somebody learn something or enabling them, you've got to be at bay. Watch them do it. Help them from a distance and let them struggle and make mistakes. Because only once they do it, they'll be self-sufficient. And they'll probably also reach a point where they might be doing things better than you. So, yeah, these are the only two things that were the topic of the day, probably. So, Let us all grow ourselves as well as help others grow, because that's what life is all about. And like I always say, um, we are all one big family. Unless and until we help each other, this family is not going to to grow, to be bonded, and that's not how it is supposed to be. So give a hand to anybody who needs it. Help them, support them grow in their personal and professional lives, because uh, there's a very old Hindi song, though I might not relate, but then तुम एक पैसा दोगे वो 10 लाख देगा. Take away the money part. The literal meaning will be, you help somebody, God is going to help you. That's the thought for today. Wish you all a love-filled life. Love you all.